Having a campfire is so much fun, but getting all stinky and gross and covered in smoke is really not at all fun. So today we're showing you how to make a smokeless fire pit out of a single barrel. This smokeless fire pit also actually keeps you warm thanks to a cool and simple add-on that we're going to show you how to make. So come with us to discover how to make a smokeless fire pit out of a single barrel. Once your barrel is clean, make sure that you remove the plug to prevent a dangerous buildup of pressure while you're cutting. Now it's time to remove the lid. Do not cut around the side of the barrel. Grind from the top as shown. This is very important for the function of the fire pit. You may see some oil seeping through the seams of your barrel as you grind, but that's not a problem. After you've ground all the way around, use a mallet to try to knock the lid out of the barrel. If it doesn't come yet, don't worry, just keep grinding at it and then try again with the mallet in a minute. Now we're going to cut the barrel in half. Don't hurt your back doing this. Put it up like we show. Put 2 2x4s across 2 sawhorses and place your barrel on top. This makes it a comfortable working height that will save you a lot of backaches. Angel marked the barrel using a simple jig he made with a piece of 2x4 and a scrap piece of wood. It's very easy to make something similar for yourself, or you could just come in with your tape measure and make some marks and then connect the lines. The smokeless fire pit works by having an inner shell and an outer shell, so half of the barrel becomes the inside shell and half of it becomes the outside shell. Make sure that you keep track of which is which. We're going to start working on the inner barrel now. We need to reduce the diameter of the inner barrel so that it fits inside the outer barrel. So we're going to cut out a 6-inch section. To do this, find the center seam of the barrel and mark a line 6 inches down from that. This will be your cut line. Now you also need to mark a second line, a total of 7 inches down from the seam, so 1 inch below that 6-inch cut line. Now it's time to cut more. You need to cut both along that seam of the barrel and along the 6-inch line that you just marked. So cut both of these to remove a 6-inch section of metal from your barrel. Now you need to remove the rim of the barrel between that 6-inch line that you just cut and the 7-inch mark that you made. Now you need to get the cut edges of the barrel to meet, and this is actually pretty easy to do if you use 1 or 2 ratchet straps. You can use clamps as shown to hold the ends of the barrel in place so that you can drill holes for your pop rivets. We used 1/8 inch steel pop rivets. Do not use aluminum pop rivets because this fire can get hot enough to possibly melt that aluminum, and that would completely ruin your fire pit. You only need 4 pop rivets to hold the barrel closed. If you don't have pop rivets, you could use metal screws, and if you really wanted to go overboard, you could weld it. So we are still working on the inner barrel. Now you need to make yourself a 3.5 inch square template. This can just be out of a piece of scrap cardboard. Use this template to mark 18 squares side by side all along the bottom edge of the barrel. This is the edge that still has the rim of the barrel intact. Now you need to label the squares. Number them 1 through 18. Squares 2, 8, and 14 are going to be legs. Cut them on 3 sides, but not on the rim side. This allows them to bend outwards so they can act as legs. Now we're going to cut the vents, and these are all of the remaining even numbered squares. You will cut them on 3 sides, both long sides and 1 short side. Make sure to leave a little lip of the rim intact. Now, vent number 18 is a special case, so watch carefully. It's going to have to bend the opposite direction from the other tabs because of that overlapping piece. And make sure you don't cut into that 1-inch overlap. Grab your outer barrel and set it on the ground with the solid lid surface up. Now take your inner barrel and set it on top. Try to center them and use that smaller inner barrel as a guide to mark the circle you're going to cut out of the other lid. When you cut, leave a little bit of extra overhang because this lip is going to be holding that inner barrel in place. You can use a jigsaw or an angle grinder to make this cut. If you're using an angle grinder, hold it at a slight angle as shown to make the cutting surface more effective. Make sure to keep the removed lid. This is going to be a grate at the bottom of the fire pit. Now you need to mark 1.5 and 3 inches down from the top of the inner barrel. The top is the part with the sharp edge. Angel made a jig using a straight piece of wood, a 2x4, and a screw. Next, you're going to cut tabs all around the top of the barrel. These tabs will be about 1.5 inches square. So cut tabs 1.5 inches wide down to that 1.5 inch mark that you just made on the barrel. They don't have to be super exact, so you can measure the first couple and then eyeball the rest, continuing on until you've made tabs all the way around the barrel. Now you need to drill vent holes. These vent holes are along the 3-inch mark and drill directly beneath each of the tabs that you just cut. The holes we're drilling now are the magic sauce that transform this into a smokeless fire pit. These holes allow for the second combustion of the smoke itself. You can drill pilot holes, or you can jump straight to using a step drill bit, but make sure that the holes are about 1/2 inch in diameter. We forgot to film bending the tabs, but you just bend all of them inwards. Bend these tabs slightly inward, maybe like 30 degrees. It doesn't need to be exact. Now it's time to drill holes at the bottom of the outer barrel. You need to drill holes all the way around the bottom, about 3 inches up from the ground. The exact spacing between holes doesn't matter. Somewhere between 1 inch and 1.5 inches is fine. Set your inner barrel on the ground and bend 4 of the tabs out as shown. These should be 2 pairs of tabs roughly across from one another. Bend them so they are about 90 degrees or horizontal with the ground. Then take your outer barrel shell and shove it down over that inner barrel. You may have to push on it a little bit, and don't stress if it's not completely perfect. You may have a couple of little gaps, and that's totally fine. So, do you remember that lid that we took off of the outer barrel? Go get it. This is going to be the grate at the bottom of the fire pit. You set the firewood on it and it allows for great airflow. So mark out an 8-slice pie as you see Angel doing in the video, and then use those as a rough guide to mark out some triangles. It really doesn't need to be perfect, you just need enough surface area to hold the wood and enough vents to allow the air in. You'll cut these triangles on 2 sides and then bend them down along the 3rd side. Place that grate down inside the fire pit and you are ready to go. Have you ever been standing right next to a fire but freezing your buns off? Well, this last step is going to fix that problem for you. If you don't want to stay warm, you can stop here and go use your smokeless fire pit. But we're going to quickly and easily make a little heat shield add-on that will allow you to actually stay warm with your fire. So first, Mark and cut 3 pieces of rebar to 19 inches. Now, mark 2 inches down from one end on each of the pieces of rebar and place a pipe clamp at this 2-inch mark. Now, go grab that lid and find the center. Mark 6 inches out from the center and make 3 spots that are equidistant from one another, so about 120 degrees on the arc of that circle that is 6 inches from the center. Now go grab your step drill bit again and drill out at each of these 3 spots you marked. Periodically check the holes to see if your rebar fits yet, and once the rebar slides in, you're good to go. Now it's time to put the heat deflector on your fire pit. It's kind of awkward to explain in words, so just watch the video. You want to set it on and then guide it as it twists and then comes to rest in place. All right, awesome, you did it. You built your smokeless fire pit and it is ready to use. When you first start it up, there will be a little bit of smoke, but as the fire really catches hold, it will be virtually smoke-free and roaring hot. You can even do things like throw pine cones in there, and they will basically evaporate instead of being smoke bombs like they usually are. Now, once you've used your fire pit and it's completely cooled down, like the next day, you'll want to pick it up and scoop out that ash from the bottom. If you don't, gradually the ash will build up and start to clog those vent holes, and you'll start to see smoke when you burn your